Welcome back to the blacksmith shop. It's been a long time since I've done anything in here of any size, any architectural ironwork. And so when Dave Van Slyke asked me if I had time to forge some braces and some brackets for him to use with his antique post-drill restoration, I said, yes, I have time, and if I don't have time, I'll make time. So the day is here. I'm going to fire up the forges, pressure up the power hammer, and get at it. So when you're forging architectural ironwork, something that really has to fit an existing condition, it's a bonus to get to work with a full-size pattern instead of a drawing, or worse yet, just a photograph. And Dave's models are perfect. The real driver on this project is that these braces should look like they came right out of a blacksmith shop in 1908. That's the year that his drill press was manufactured. So if you're wondering what the heck I'm doing running these bars back and forth without changing their size or shape at all, I'm texturing them. And I'm texturing them by simply stamping the scale that forms on the surface and then flakes off right back into the soft iron. It makes a subtle, organic kind of a texture that I think goes nicely with the chamfered edges. These bars are 1 inch by 1 inch, and they're going to be chamfered and then bent and then drilled and then drifted. 2 of them are going to have tenons drawing out of the ends, and 2 will be riveted in place. 1 inch by 1 inch it's a dimension that I really like working with because it's big enough to look beefy but easy enough to work with by yourself. Now, Francis Whitaker, who was a giant in the Renaissance of the blacksmithing craft in the 1960s and 70s, famously said, "Let no iron go unworked." And what he meant was, if you're going to the effort of hand forging something, you might as well leave some evidence of the fact that it is hand forged. And that's what a hammer does. And so, don't be afraid to leave a few hammer marks. Bending steel is one of the 6 basic blacksmithing processes, and it's a little deceptive because, like everything else, there's a little more going on here than meets the eye, at least the first time you look at it. And here's just a couple of those things. On a curve like this, the inside of the bend is upsetting or getting shorter, while the outside of the bend is stretching or drawing out. It's the center line or neutral axis that remains the same. And then the second thing is temperature. Bending depends on temperature. Hotter equals softer and easier to move, and an even heat results in smooth, even, attractive bends. So control your heat and pay attention to the neutral axis when you're measuring the lengths. Now, these shorter bars have tenons drawn out of the end of them. And I didn't capture the whole process very well, and I used a couple of different tactics, but I hope you get the idea, because mortise and tenon connection is a traditional joinery technique in blacksmithing, just like in woodworking. That hole's a little under 3/8. I'm going to drift it out to 1/2 inch. Gives me just a little bit of slack when the rivet goes through there. And it makes a nice little bulge, which screams hand forged. Only a blacksmith can drift a hole and get that frog eye bulge. So I don't know if that filter, I tried a different filter on the GoPro to see if you could see what was happening with the molten pool. I was running downhill 3 passes to fill in the outside corner of these 2 plates. I'm going to brush this off and bring you in here and show you. I've just switched from a steel mix, which I think is 80-20 argon carbon dioxide, I think, to a 98% argon, 2% CO2, because they tell me you can weld stainless with that, and you can weld other things even though it seems to burn a little hotter. And yeah, it sure seems hotter. So let me clean this up and give you a look. It's okay for a carpenter. So I've got this outside corner pretty well filled up. It's a little light on this left side, but that's the beauty of a downhill bead with a MIG gun. Almost anybody can make it look decent. I almost tied it to the table, but it'll break right off. And it's time to mark and drill the holes for riveting these scrolls. Well, as it turns out, I just had too many people in the shop to film much of the process of making these 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces that Dave is going to use to hold up various aspects of that beautiful post drill. This is the bracket that he brought to sort of reference the size. These are the templates that reflect what he needed the size to be more or less exactly. I'll give you a little close-up on these because I didn't give you much of a look at how I actually put them together. But that's all right. It's Dave's project anyhow. You know, I've learned that fabrication just takes way longer than you think. I mean, like every project, but more than carpentry, when you're working steel, it goes slowly. And when you're including blacksmithing, forging and bending and riveting and mortise and tenon with that fabrication project, buddy, it really goes slowly, but buddy, it is absolutely worth it. The last video in this series is going to take you back to Dave Van Slyke's shop, and these brackets will be installed as part of the final installation of that beautiful, beautiful restoration project that he's done on a post drill. I hope you'll come back to check that out because his accomplishment is breathtaking, and it is fully operational, and buddy, it's gorgeous. Thanks for watching Essential Craftsman, and keep up the good work.